Welcome back, everyone, or perhaps this is your first time listening. This is the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. I'm Zach Briggs, and I'm joined today by Justin Strange, the father of the podcast. I don't know if that should be a continued title, but I like the sound of it.
You used to say that's the second time you called me that. I don't mind it. I don't mind it one bit.
So, but no Jake Kramers today, but perhaps he'll be joining us at another time.
Better.
But dang. Yeah, we all miss him. I'm sure the listeners do as well.
Yeah, he's got some things going on, so
yeah,
he had to sit out this time around.
Life's just a lot more important at the end of the day.
For sure.
We're going to be talking about the Oscars, and of course, what stole the show. Unfortunately, the Will Smith, Chris Rock little spat, the slap, that's resulted in so many news articles and controversy. But lots of memes that come out of it. We'll provide our thoughts on that. And then, of course, I think more interesting than the drama of the Oscars was we could go over some of the winners and perhaps some of the snubs. But before we get into that, let's kind of, Justin, want to just talk about some what's happening in the world of Hollywood or just news. You wanted to bring up something?
Sure, yeah. The only thing I really wanted to talk about was I'm really excited about No Way Home. It's on digital now. Spider-Man No Way Home, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure you do. It's on digital now, but I'm a diehard collector, so I wait for the physical copy to come out and then just add the digital to my Vudu and have that physical copy. So the physical copy comes out April 12th. And so I'm super, super excited for that. And I think my mom, I was telling you this earlier, Zach, my mom's really wanting to watch it. And she uses, if she can't find it, she'll ask me if I have it. And this time around I didn't, because I don't just buy digital movies usually. When it comes to big movies like this, I don't buy just digital. So I was like, I have to, it'll come out physically on April 12th. You just have to wait. And she almost bought it, and I was like, no, just wait. So even my mom's excited about this movie because she hasn't seen it yet. So I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it twice, but usually I try to take her to these kind of movies. But since I've moved to Memphis, it's been kind of hard to take her to movies. So I think the last movie we saw together was Avengers Endgame, I think. And so, yeah, she loves Marvel movies. Like, she loves them. So
did you get her into Marvel movies, or did she find them out on herself?
I don't know. She just was like,
how does one develop a love for Marvel movies?
I think she just started watching them, and I'd be like, hey, let's watch a movie. And it almost always is some sort of, she likes action movies. I've noticed, like, we watched Power Rangers together, the 2017 version. And, the first hour of that movie is them, getting to know each other, essentially becoming a team. And then the last 30 minutes is, they've discovered their powers, they've discovered their armor, and then their Zords. And so I watched that with her, and I was like, so what'd you think? She's like, well, I like the last 30 minutes of it. I was like, come on, Mom. And the same with, like, we didn't watch this movie together, but she was watching Beauty and the Beast, the live action version. And, it's a musical. Yep. And she started watching it, and they were singing and stuff. She looked at me, she was like, why is all this singing? And I was like, because it's a musical. Like, that's what they do in musicals. She's like, well, I didn't know it was going to be this much. I was like, well, it's a Disney musical on top of that. So
just basically like the old traditional Disney movies where they had the singing. It's just live action.
Which just live action.
I have my own preference of the hand drawn, I think, animation.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They have a lot more freedom. I think it looks better for the viewer, at least for me.
Well, I saw that in theaters. I thought it was really good, but I think she thought because it was live action that it wasn't going to be a musical, and I'm like, no, Mom, that's not how it works. Usually, they've changed some things, like with Mulan. It was musical, the animated version, but it wasn't in the live action version. So yeah, some of them's changed, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, April 12th, Blu-ray 4K, probably a digital version, I'm assuming. And so I like the digital versions as well because it's cool to have them physically. But I will say that I've come around to the thought of being able to just pick up, like, my remote and go to a movie and just hit play, Like, it's a lot easier, more convenient to download the digital versions than it is to put it in your DVD player or whatever you have. It is super convenient. So I'd take, like you said, you don't keep the digital versions, right?
I have them, but sometimes I give them to you, and I just keep them until they eventually
Expire.
expire, I
Yeah. What
guess.
what was the last movie you gave me? Well, you've only given me one.
It was
Um,
on I think it was Nobody.
no, it wasn't Nobody because I
No,
don't
was it?
have that movie. No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I can look it up later. But so yeah, I've come around to the digital thing. Like I have a friend when I worked in Arkansas who would just buy the digital movies. And I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
that's cool and all, but it's nice to have, to me, and I know we're trying to move on, Zach, and I'll say this and then be done. To me, like collecting isn't just like having these games and playing these games, but just if you have them like organized in a certain way and displayed and stuff, to me, it's almost like looking at like art. Does that make sense? It sounds kind
Yeah.
of cheesy, I know, but to me, it's like looking. It's super like awesome to look at when you have a nice collection on a shelf. So when I collected
Yep.
video games a long time ago, it was the same way. It just to look at was cool.
A lot more
Go.
special.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't have a big cabinet or shelf full of movies just because I don't have the space. But one day I'd like to
Mm,
have a shelf where all like VHS and
yeah,
get them
for
out of the
sure.
boxes and be able to just look at them.
Yeah. Anyway,
All
okay.
right,
So what did
let's
you
go
want to
on.
talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
We're kind of talking about action stars, or your reference an action star kind of got me thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bruce Willis has announced that he's taken a step back from acting because he has this disorder called aphasia, which basically is a cognitive condition that affects speech.
Right.
So I don't know exactly the stage of this condition that Bruce Willis is experiencing. I haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
anything that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stands out from recent movies. Probably is at first I haven't seen any of Bruce Willis's latest films in recent years, but overall it's pretty sad. I mean, I think loads of people enjoy his acting and obviously Die Hard and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
it just kind
It
of
is kind
caught
of,
my attention,
yeah.
and hopefully it doesn't like become worse and where he
You
isn't
can't
able
act
to
anymore,
just talk and
for
act
sure.
anymore. So that kind
Uh,
of like,
yeah.
wow. I was like a little surprised when I read the news.
You know how Bruce Willis, you know what kind of movies he was doing before he got Die Hard?
No.
He's doing like mostly romantic comedies. And so it's that age old thing where they like cast somebody that they wouldn't normally cast, and people are like,
Hmm.
"Oh my god, I can't believe you cast Bruce Willis. Like he's a romantic comedy guy." And then they like kill it in whatever movie, action movie they're in. It's kind of the same with like Ben Affleck when he was cast as Batman, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you cast him." And I'm like, dude, he's a good actor. Like he'll be fine. And he was. And now people like love Ben Affleck as Batman. So it's just kind of funny to see that transition. And so like he's been since then, Bruce Willis, has been in mostly action movies, right? I mean, and he's done Wes Anderson movies, a lot of Wes Anderson movies that doesn't have super a lot of action or anything. But
I liked him in Looper.
you know what? I still have yet to see Looper.
Really?
Yes, I need to watch that movie because not only you, but I have a friend that told me that I
Got to
should
see it.
watch it as well. Yeah.
I like his overall vibe, his like persona as like an action star, is
Yeah.
like trying to play cool and serious. I know he's like not arrogant, but I feel like he's done a lot of great films, but a lot of hit and miss action movies too. Like it kind of feels like at times he's choosing movies
Well, I think
could be a lot better, but for whatever reason they're not like the greatest in terms of like story and plot.
I think Bruce Willis has like this one for me, one for you type deal. So he does a movie for himself, and then he'll do like, a cookie cutter action flick or whatever for somebody for directors. I think that's how kind of why he does these Wes Anderson movies where it's kind of weird to see Bruce Willis in these movies, because he's in so many of these action movies like Death Wish and Die Hard and all that stuff where like you see him in a Wes Anderson movie and he's like wearing like this, like the movie that comes to mind for me is Moonrise Kingdom, and the whole time he's wearing like this policeman's outfit, but it's like a typical policeman's like short sleeve shirt, button up shirt tucked into his pants with a little hat on, and I'm just like, this is so much different than what
Yeah.
you would typically see him in. But I like him a lot in those movies. He's just a good actor all around.
Yeah, makes you wonder, well, just if he's done acting like forever at this
You
point.
know, quickly, since we're talking about actors who have taking a step back, Jim Carrey is also talking about retiring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or during a interview from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, he's considering retiring, and I think he had said that he's considering retiring, but he might not, he might end up coming back or whatever. He's like, he said he's done enough. He thinks he's done enough, and to be able to kind of now just enjoy his life.
Makes you wonder what happens in Sonic 2 to Robotnik.
Well,
There's plenty of villains too in the Sonic world, but if you wanted
yeah,
to do a
but
third film, but he's like the prime like
he's
villain.
pretty
I feel
much
like.
Sonic's only villain. Like, yeah, there's like Metal Sonic and Knuckles for a little while. Of course, him and Knuckles become friends, and there's like random from other games, random
Yeah.
villains, but I don't know if they're movie worthy. Metal Sonic might be.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome if they put Metal Sonic in there. So I'm hoping. This is kind of what I'm hoping for Jim Carrey. It's like, yeah, I want you to finish acting, but let's do one more Sonic movie.
Or The Mask.
Or another The Mask movie. Yeah, I would love another The Mask movie. He said he would do one as long as the script was good. The same thing that all actors say after 40 years of doing one movie, and people are asking if he'll do a sequel. If the story is good. So
All right, let's go to the Oscars.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to talk about just the Will Smith situation first? Get that
Yeah.
not out of the way, but I don't want to talk about it too long. It's just so inundated on Facebook with so many of those stories.
Oh man, yeah.
So what happened basically?
So basically, Chris Rock was doing his thing. He's a stand-up comedian, so he's at the Oscars telling jokes, and he had made a joke. So Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia, I think, and so she doesn't have any hair on her head and whatever. So her hair, she's bald, and so he made a joke about G.I. Jane 2, because if you remember in G.I. Jane, Demi Moore shaved her head for the movie, and so he said G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it, or something like that. And like Will Smith is visually laughing during that, but and then all of a sudden he gets up on stage. Chris Rock is like, oh, this is gonna be hilarious, and then Will Smith just whacks him right in the face, slaps him, like, I don't know, and on stage in front of everybody. And then he just sits down, and then of course we hear him yelling back like, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth and all this stuff. And he's like, it was a joke. And he's like, you know what? Okay, fine, I will. And then Chris Rock just continued. Of course, he stumbled because he was flabbergasted. Understandably flabbergasted. Like if I was, at the Oscars and someone came up and slapped me, I don't know if I would have handled it like Chris Rock did. He did it. He did a good job. He continued what he was supposed to do, and then got off stage. So then after that, of course, everybody and their mama knew about it almost instantly. And people didn't even have to watch the Oscars, because I didn't watch the Oscars this year. I was working a lot during the Oscars, trying to grade papers and such. And so grade papers and create assignments. So I was just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to watch the Oscars right now, because I will stop what I'm doing. So of course, almost instantly everybody knew. And then of course, like everything big that happens, memes were created all over the place. And so some of them are pretty funny, because I'm part of a community group, like a Community, the TV show, and The Office. And so of course they took stuff from those two shows and made memes out of it, in reference to the Will Smith slap. So those were pretty funny. But yeah, memes, and then some videos. I showed you one with the weird what was it, rubber band physics thing. It was kind of funny actually. And so yeah, that's what happened.
Yep. So Chris Rock, he's been on tour, and he's had some people heckling, saying, "Oh," opposed to Will Smith, and he's like telling everyone that perhaps one day he'll have some jokes to include in his routine about what happened on that day. But at this time, he's just keeping humble and just focusing on his comedic acts. I don't know if he's in Florida, he might be, but anyways, I think he handled it well, and as anyone might be, maybe a little bit dumbfounded. Just someone he's known since the 90s. Will Smith and Rock coming up and just whacking you in the face and on live television.
On live television. And like, I didn't know about Jada's condition. And so I thought, I was like, Will Smith, like, what a like petty thing to do. And in And in reality, it is kind of petty. Like it was humiliating for Chris Rock. It's like, dude, go talk to him after the show and say, I didn't appreciate what you said, blah 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 blah. Like hitting him in front of everybody. That I don't think that was the right move. But then I found out about Jada's condition, and I thought, okay, well maybe Chris's joke was a little insensitive. But he is a comedian, and I assume he knew before he made the joke. I would guess, right?
I don't know if that question's ever been asked of Chris Rock, but I'd be
Yeah.
interested. But even at
Yeah.
that, there's been Ricky Gervais, several other comedians that have hosted the Oscars or award shows have been pretty
Done worse.
brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you know who Dean Martin is, a
Hmm.
singer, but he's been known not just for being a singer, but comedian and roasting people. There's like
Hmm.
multiple videos on YouTube where I forgot what the prime occasion was that he would do these celebrity roasts, but he was, I mean, back in the 80s, I think, is when he was really known. I mean, I think probably since the dawn of like television and these award shows, there's always been some level of comedy that attacks others, and
Well, yeah, they have to.
yeah.
It's just part of the show. Like I think that it makes the show a little better. Like, and I think that actors, should be able to take it. I'm sure there is a too far moment with some of these, but I think if I were an actor, I would hope that, or even at the Oscars period, or known for anything to
Mhm.
be at the Oscars, I would be able to take it.
Do you
So,
think the slapping situation detracted from the Best Picture under Best, no, not Best Picture, but Best Actor award as Will Smith tried to?
yeah, I think
It
so.
just it just everyone was just thinking about that incident
Well, yeah,
after
that
he won
Yeah, after he
the
won, he got a
award.
standing ovation and all this stuff, and then that's the only thing I could think about. When he was talking in his speech, I'm just like, dude, you just slapped somebody on live TV. I don't think the Oscar shouldn't have gone to Will Smith. Like, I didn't see King Richard, but I know Will Smith is a good actor. All the guys that were nominated are really good actors. So it's like I don't think he doesn't deserve it because he slapped somebody, but I don't know. It did detract from his speech at least and what he was saying. I'm just like, you just slapped somebody on live TV. Whatever.
So he's also apologized.
Hmm.
He had like a number of apologies on social media
Yeah, I saw
to
that
Chris Rock, but it took him not a while, but days for him to address directly Chris Rock. He also resigned
from
himself
the
from the
Academy.
academy.
Hmm. I
But
guess
even
he's
at that, he acknowledged that he's accepting of whatever consequences that the academy's investigation comes with. But I don't know what they could do. I mean,
I don't.
what
That's
are,
what I was just thinking. I
I
don't.
mean, at this point,
When he said that, or when I read that, I was like, what's going to happen to you? Nothing.
char
You
charges have been, I mean, no charges are going to be filed because
no.
Chris Rock declined to do that. But I mean, what could they do? Like strip him of
The
on,
Oscar. That's the only thing I can think of. They could
that
take
would
the
be
Oscar away from
that
him.
I think, I mean, is it possible? I think it is. I mean, I think that's perhaps
Hmm.
a big question on the minds of many people that I just thought about just now as we talked about the situation. But I think that we possibly could see Will
Will
Smith
Smith.
not having that Oscar,
Ooh, that'd be
stripping it away from
crazy.
him.
That'd be crazy if he. I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. But I do think it's in the realm of possibility. But I
I
don't
think
know
it might be a good, a good, or however you want to think of it, send a statement perhaps to future
others. Hmm.
celebrities that think about trying to do something like that on TV. Again, but
Use Will Smith as an example.
then again, it's about separating. How do you separate the actor from person that he or she played on the big screen? They
Hmm.
still could have been, still may be the best performance out of everyone. That's why they
Yeah,
obviously
for
voted.
sure.
But then again, I could see the controversy of this. They said, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna just take away the Oscars, nail
Mm.
on the coffin type of thing."
Oh
I
boy.
think people would be opposed to that. But
Yeah,
then
I
again,
think so
there'll
too.
be lots of people that would be probably a
Assistant.
standing ovation virtually for that action.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what other consequences that could be implemented. But who
Literally, that's
knows? I guess
the
we'll
only
see.
thing. Especially since he's resigned from the academy. He wouldn't be nominated next year for anything. So it's like the only thing they really could do is strip him of that Oscar.
Yeah. I wonder if this is the end of Will Smith, and at
Maybe he'll
least,
retire from acting.
yeah, maybe he's next.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
But this will certainly scar him for the rest of his career.
Oh,
That'll be one of the things that
well,
journalists years from now will interview him on 60 Minutes or any other of the networks, and let's go back to that day, and
That
he'll
day,
have
the
some speech
slap.
prepared, and you'll go on this tour of apology. I mean,
Yeah.
it's inevitable. Let's talk
Um,
about, I guess, what I mean. Again, I had the show on as white noise for the most part,
yeah.
and there's Best
Well, because
Picture, supporting a role. We could go down the list. I have like the CNN article, Oscars winners
I have
2022, if you
the
want to have that one up.
I have the straight from the Oscars website.
So I guess we could go in any order. It doesn't really matter. What would you
Okay.
like to talk about in terms of
Well, let's go ahead
what
and
caught
just,
your eye?
since we're talking about Will Smith already, let's go ahead and talk about actor in a leading role. So Will Smith won for King Richard, which is about the movie, the father of Venus and Serena Williams, who are tennis pros. So he won. The other nominees were Javier Bardem for being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. So I don't remember what I said, what my prediction or my hope was to win, but looking at it now, I kind of wish Andrew Garfield would have gotten it. I don't know. For all of these, I think all of these guys are great actors, and I've seen them all in other movies. Well, Javier Bardem, I've only seen it in Mother. If you ever seen Mother, but I kind of wish it would have went to Andrew Garfield. That would have been a cool moment for him, I think.
Garfield's been nominated before
Yeah,
for a
I think
role. I
he's been
forgot what it
nominated a
was.
few times, but and then it would have been cool to see it go to Denzel or Benedict Cumberbatch. I only Denzel, man, that guy. I'll pretty much watch anything he's in. He's a phenomenal actor, and I'm pretty sure he's won several times as well.
Yes. Yeah,
Benedict Cumberbatch, I don't think has won any, has he? I don't think
I don't
so.
believe
Because
so. At
yeah,
least not an Oscar, maybe a BAFTA, but I'm not
oh yeah,
sure.
yeah, maybe.
But I was watching a clip of the tragedy of Macbeth, and you
Mhm,
know how just the story of Macbeth uses that language. It's going to
yeah,
be kind
mhm.
of a little bit, you know, eccentric for the time. But I think the way that they include it in the movie in this particular clip was done well,
Oh, good.
and
Well,
I haven't seen any of these movies, sad to say, but
yeah, I haven't either.
it makes me want to check them out. But the tragedy of Macbeth, it's black and white, and
You
Denzel
use that
Washington
Shakespearean
is Macbeth.
language.
Yeah, but there's this one scene after he's having this quarrel with a prominent character. I don't know the story of Macbeth really, but just the entire sequence is fantastic, and there's no music at all.
I like,
I'll have to send you a link to it after, but
yeah,
it makes me want to watch the entire movie now.
I like
And
those scenes with no music.
I think I was kind of perhaps surprised that maybe like an Andrew Garfield, a Denzel Washington, or Benedict Cumberbatch didn't get the
Oh,
award. I didn't think Will Smith would have received it. For, I don't know, my own, just from judging off the trailers of the show, which is judging a book by its cover. But
yeah.
again, I only have it so much to base my predictions off, and that's
Well,
essentially
when
from clips and trailers.
when I saw the trailer for that movie, I thought, wow, I'm never gonna see this movie. I did not even expect that it would get nominated for an Oscar or
It didn't scream
anything.
Oscars.
It
Yeah,
really did not. And I, like I said, I hadn't seen it, and so like I usually, it seems like I wait till after the Oscars to watch these movies just because of time and stuff. So I mean, I'll check it out. I'll for sure check it out. It's just I just didn't. It just didn't seem interesting to me. I'm like, for one thing, Serena and Venus Williams are still alive. And it's just like when we do, I don't know about their dad. I don't know if he's still alive or not. But when they do
he
these
is.
movies with people who are still about people,
Mhm.
with people, the people who, they're based off of are still alive. It's just kind of weird. Like I saw Rocket Man and it was okay, but Elton John's still alive. Freddie, now Bohemian Rhapsody was awesome. That was a great movie. Freddie Mercury, of course, is dead. And I don't think it made it better because he was dead, but it just makes more sense to wait because by then their life is complete. What if they do something else? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just
Yeah,
backwards thinking or something, but
the Williams sisters' dad was interviewed by publication and asked about the whole slapping situation.
mm,
And long story short, opposes what he did. I mean, it'd be kind of just odd as well. I mean, the father of the Williams sisters, just and then you have Will Smith who played him and probably had multiple conversations with him, like in
mm.
the development of the movie, and then has this happen. It just paints, I don't know, indirectly. I don't know. I don't think it has any direct on. impact on Richard Williams and
No,
his character, but
I would
it's still
agree.
it's just kind of uncomfortable, I guess, for
We know
him.
his
Yeah.
apology included them as well.
Mhm.
I don't know what that apology means to them, but yeah, I get it. I get it. All right. Let's see.
I was kind
Next.
of peeved that they didn't have many of the awards like original score, visual effects. There's several others as where people went up to the stage and accepted the award. They were just done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Oh,
number of
that's.
awards that were like the technical, a lot of the technical ones that
Hmm.
were done like pre-recorded essentially, and
Oh,
it's kind of a damper because it just yes, we know we like to see the big name awards, but for film folks like us especially, we appreciate the intricacies of what it takes to
goes
make a
into
movie.
yeah, it goes into making a movie. I didn't
But
know that.
original score went to Dune, and
Hmm.
you haven't seen Dune, but
No, but I listened to the score.
what'd
It
you
was good.
think?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I listened to it earlier today, and because I was like, well, look, I was looking down. I was like, what can I do, right now to prepare? And so I thought I can listen to the Dune score at least. I wanted to listen to some of the rest of them, but I was like, at least I can listen to this, and it was good. It was nice. It was like very almost tranquil. I guess nothing. At least the ones that I listened to, it wasn't like Avengers and Transformers, where it was just like hard hitting type symphonic music. It was kind of slow, but it was nice sounding. I don't know how to explain it. But I mean, I enjoyed listening to it.
Dune won looks like 6 awards.
Yeah, I think I read something that said Dune won most awards.
Film editing, visual effects,
Hmm.
original score, we just said. What else we have? And then achievement in sound and cinematography.
Yeah, I
Not
guess I'll.
surprised. But again, that's the only movie I've seen. Well, the Nightmare Alley, I saw that one. Haven't seen West Side Story, Tragedy, Macbeth, or Power of the Dog. But yeah, I could see how Dune
I will say
could
that
have won, or they did win. But
uh as far as cinematography goes, West Side Story, at least from the trailers, it looked really good. Like it looked just the trailers. I was like, man, this movie, like that's the first thing I noticed was how it looked. I didn't
better
even.
be good. It's a musical.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a remake of a musical, so
Yeah.
you can't just like do whatever you want when it comes to that kind of stuff. Okay, let's talk about the actor in a supporting role, which was Troy Kotzer. I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Do you watch Coda?
Have
I
you?
couldn't I couldn't remember if you said you watched it or not. No.
No.
Um no. And then let's see. Actually the only person I know on this list is J.K. Simmons. Everybody. Oh no, I know Jesse Plemons. Jesse Plemons, if I remember correctly, he's actually really funny. He can be really funny, but he played on
Mm.
an episode. The first time I saw him, I believe he played on an episode of Black Mirror. It was kind of like a Star Trek episode. He's really good at that. So he's actually not a bad actor. He's kind of a little less known than most of these guys. But
Yeah.
actress in a leading role was Jessica Chastain. What do you think of Jessica Chastain?
Seen her in a number of films. I think Zero Dark 30 kind of just what stands out to me.
She was in
And then
it.
Arrival.
It chapter 2,
Yep.
and
It.
then
Yep.
in Dark Phoenix. She was in Dark Phoenix. So
Yeah.
here,
I don't know. I didn't see the movie that she played as the was it alongside Javier Bardem, right?
no.
Is that the no? What was the
Mother, you thinking of Mother?
Mother? Okay.
Yeah, that was Jennifer Lawrence.
No, but like, what was her role in what she was? What was her? What did she win in?
Oh, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I've seen that. And then Olivia Colman, Penelope Cruz, Nicole Kidman, Kristen Stewart. Um, here's my thing about Jessica Chastain. She is just to me just like a blah actress. Like I don't know. I'm not a fan of her. Period. So when she was in like It Chapter 2 and Dark Phoenix and
Does she
all
act the
that,
same?
yeah, it's just the same stuff no matter what. Same with her and Jake Gyllenhaal. He did great as Mysterio, but it's like I don't know. He's just very blah to me. I don't know the word for it besides blah.
He
you
doesn't
know,
really transform.
and just yeah, he just kind of stays the same, and she does too. And
So
now,
does Will Smith, in my opinion.
um, an actress on this list that I surprisingly really like is Kristen Stewart, and she's Twilight fame, where she kind of first came on the scene. Well, I wouldn't say first came on the scene because she was in other movies, like she was in Zathura, which came out before Twilight. If you ever saw that, it's like a space Jumanji.
Mm.
and I thought she was, she was okay in that. But then she did a movie, and me and Jake have talked about this movie called American Ultra with Jesse Eisenberg, and she was actually really funny in that. So I don't know, she's kind of a, to me, and you saw Spencer, didn't you?
Yeah, I liked that movie. I thought maybe she would have maybe taken the award. I haven't seen The Eyes of Tammy Faye though. So,
Mm-mm. Yeah,
but
so
yeah, it's a great movie. It's on Hulu right now. If you
yeah.
wanted to check it out, it's
Uh,
kind of a claustrophobic view into the life of Princess Diana, and
oh,
it takes place in the uh, some coastal town, I believe, in England. But basically, she's just going through the trauma, emotional trauma, and feeling like she's constrained by the royal family in many ways, and having to adjust to these customs and all that. I don't know if you know a lot about the history of Princess Diana, but she had like an affair with some guy, and then she just ever since then she felt like she wasn't really like liked by people in the royal family in general. But again, it was a great movie. I like
okay.
the cinematography as well, and again, I think this is a fitting role for her because I mean, she kind of reminded me a little bit of her other roles where she's not like totally exciting
Yeah,
the way she comes across, but uh, kind of dreary and
yeah,
depressive,
yeah,
or trying
yeah,
to has this facade of happiness, but deep down there's something going on. So I
yeah,
think she did it well, and you should definitely see the movie, and
yeah.
everyone else that's listening should.
At least once.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Okay.
the director also did, I believe, the Jackie movie where Natalie Portman played Jacqueline Kennedy.
Did you watch
And
that movie?
yeah,
What'd you think? I
I
actually kind of want to watch that movie.
I really loved it. It's very haunting, similar to Spencer, but obviously because of the assassination of JFK, there's just that added bit of uncomfortableness. But yeah, the Natalie Portman, she did fantastic as well. I don't know, she might have been nominated whenever that movie came
I
out.
think she did. I think I'm almost positive she won, but I can't. I don't know that for sure. But I'm pretty sure she won for that role.
Yeah, but the music in that, I think I've shared with you
Yeah, you have.
some of
I really liked it. I do
yeah,
remember really liking it.
it reminds me of some of the Joker
Yeah.
score
Oh yeah, I do
with the
remember that because
violins or the
yeah.
strings, the cellos, whatever they're using there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
very eerie. I love it.
Yeah.
How about best director?
Okay. So best director, who won that? I know who won, but you tell me.
Jane, is it Campion?
Campaign, yeah, for Power of the Dog, right? Have you?
So was that monumental because
Is
is
she?
it a first for a woman to
Yes, I believe
win
so. I think that was Jake's
best
thing.
director?
He told us that Jake told us that, I believe, in the last episode, that it was the first female director to win an Oscar. Um, so that's really cool. I
Yeah,
haven't seen The Power of the Dog yet, and I've heard mixed things about it, that it wasn't good and that it was good and blah 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 blah. So I'll have to check it out. Let's see. Only thing on here I saw was Licorice Pizza. And I really liked Licorice Pizza, but I also really like Paul Thomas Anderson. So it's hard, for me to be like. Although I will say, he did a movie called, oh God, it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it. It's about a private investigator in the 70s and all this stuff. God, what is that movie called? Well, if you know it, you can tell me. But that's the only one that I didn't care for as much. But I had to watch it again to kind of understand what was going on. But other than that, I took a class. I think I've said this before. It was called Paul Thomas Anderson versus Wes Anderson, and so I ended up watching all his movies. I don't know. He's
called The
got a,
Master,
yeah, like The Master and There Will Be Blood and Punch Drunk Love and all that stuff. And so the
Inherent Vice.
Inherent Vice, that's what it's called.
I just
Inherent
looked it up.
Vice. Yeah, Inherent Vice. That's the one I was like, I watched it. First, I watched it because I wrote a paper on Paul Thomas Anderson. So I picked that. I had to watch 5 movies, and I picked that one, and I really didn't understand what was going on. And then when I took that class, I had to watch it again. And so I watched it again, and I was like, okay, this makes a little more sense, but it's probably
Yeah,
on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to Paul Thomas Anderson movies. And then West Side Story, of course, Steven Spielberg. I do really want to watch that movie. I remember when it came out, one of my coworkers, he like strongly encouraged us to go see it because it was out in theaters, and I'm like, maybe. So
yeah.
I
You weren't jumping to the
Not
theater for that one.
not really. I mean, it's not. I don't. I remember watching it as a kid and liking it then, but I was like, oh, if I see it, I'll see it, you know. And I do want to see it because it did look really gorgeous, like a really pretty movie. And then Belfast, I was looking at that because it also won Best Original Screenplay. And you've seen that
I've
movie,
seen that
right?
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was looking at it. I was trying to find where to watch it, and I think right now only thing you could do is like rent it. So I'll have to check it out because it looks really interesting. And so I'm always about movies that had won, you know, best original screenplay. I need to watch those. We
A lot of the awards went to Dune, but kind of talked about that already.
we can kind of skip the documentaries. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched any of these documentaries or the
Mm.
short documentaries.
Original song, "No Time to Die." We both
Uh,
seen that the Bond film, right?
yeah, I saw No Time to Die. It was cool, man. I really wasn't into James Bond for a long time, but and quick story, when I worked at this game store, and we also sold movies, and we were able to like check stuff out, like, you know, kind of like a library. And so my friend and I that worked there were like, let's do this thing where we go through and start with A and just watch movies that we haven't seen. And we didn't get that
Yeah.
far. But one of the movies I hadn't seen were, and it was cataloged as 007, was James Bond. And so I watched all and all we had were the Daniel Craig ones. And so I watched them, and man, they were awesome. And so when this came out, I definitely went and saw it. This was one of the things that I was like, well, what can I do right now to, you know, kind of prepare me for this episode? And I listened to this song, and I'm not a huge fan of Billie Eilish, or as Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight Schrute, calls her, William Eyelash. And so I listened to it, and I got to the point where she finally said "No Time to Die," and I was like, all right, I'm done, because I'm not a fan of her music. But I guess it was okay. The
Didn't
original song,
Adele's Skyfall, didn't that win an award?
I believe so. I believe it did win. Production design went to Dune as well. I mean, I guess, you know, I talked about this last time. Why I was kind of uninterested in watching Dune. I guess I'll watch it because it did win a lot of awards, and I knew I would watch it eventually. And then Nightmare Alley was nominated, and you and I both saw Nightmare Alley.
Really enjoyed that movie.
I thought the production design was really good. It's a lot of times it's like, if you notice all these movies, you know, Dune takes place in what, space, and then
Yep.
Nightmare Alley takes place, you know, in the 20s or something like that.
Hmm.
Power of the Dog is a Western. Tragedy of Macbeth is, you know, way back in the day. And the West Side Story, I think, takes place around the 40s or 50s or whatever. And I don't know, some big city. So it's like, it seems like production design awards always go to these period pieces, almost always. Or, yeah, I say period pieces, or something that doesn't take place on Earth or
Yeah.
another whatever. Which I guess makes sense because, you know, they're having to build those sets and stuff from scratch. So, you know, the better they can make them look, the more chances you have to win an Oscar, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about short films real quick, because I watched The Windshield Wiper. It looks really good if you haven't seen it.
How do you get access to these short films?
I did this crazy thing called Googling it. I Googled it and it popped up and I watched it. It was on YouTube. They were both on YouTube. So The Windshield Wiper is about 15 minutes long. And it was really good. It's like about love and the different forms love takes.
Hmm.
And it was really the animation in it was really nice. Like, it was really, 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 really pretty, like really beautiful. And it just kind of jumps between these different relationships that are going on. So and it's a little it's not vulgar, but it's got, you know, sexual stuff in it and
Yeah.
nudity and stuff. But it was a
Great.
really yeah, exactly. It was a really neat film. And then I also watched The Long Goodbye, which was good. I didn't understand where it was going, but it's essentially about Middle Eastern people who live in London. They're from Pakistan, but they live in London, and they're all, you know, there's this big family that are in a house together. And it seemed like to me like they're getting ready for like a wedding, and so they're kind of preparing. And then all of a sudden, this like religious white group essentially comes in and busts into their house, gathers them up, takes the women and kills the males and takes the kids. And the main character in the movie, he tries to save his either little brother or maybe cousin or nephew from being taken, and he starts running because they've put them on their knees, they put them in restraints, and where they line them all up and shoot them.
Execution.
Yeah, essentially. And so he gets up and runs, and they shoot him from a distance. So they think he's dead, but he's not dead. And he has this huge message to it's essentially kind of a political type short film with a message in it and stuff. It was really good. Really, it went from one thing to another, and happiness to darkness in like a second. And so
This is from 2020 or 2021. It looks like.
yeah.
Interesting.
So it was a neat movie. I went ahead and watched at least the winners for now. I mean, I'll try to. I do want to check out the rest of the animated because I like animated stuff.
How long are these shorts?
I mean, the Long Goodbye, which was a live action, was about 12 minutes, and then the windshield wiper was about 15 minutes. So I'm going to guess somewhere around there, because a lot of times when it comes to film festivals and stuff, you don't want to try to go over 15 to 20 minutes. A lot of times they won't take, 30, 45-minute entries. So you want to try to keep it as short as possible, either that or make a feature film,
Yeah.
So you try not to go over it that much.
Makeup and hairstyling. I went to The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and there was Cruella doing Coming to America, House of Gucci. You'd think maybe like Cruella because it's all about fashion.
Oh yeah.
So is House of Gucci.
Yeah, I don't care about House of Gucci. Coming to America, I was surprised to see that because it's the sequel, and it took place in modern day, but it also took place in another country. So of course, have you seen any of the Coming to America movies?
No.
Okay, well, they're funny. If you haven't seen them, you should watch them. But I was surprised to see that on there. Not because anything besides, I just didn't expect it. I just did not expect it. So I thought it was a really neat addition. I kind of wish it would have won either that or Cruella. I did like Cruella a lot. It was a little bit longer than I would have wanted, because I saw it in theaters and I thought, man, this movie's still going. Like, it's really good, but they could have cut some of this out. And we talked about Eyes of Tammy Faye. I haven't seen it, but I was kind of hoping for Coming to America or Cruella for sure. Because Cruella,
sure. Yep.
you've seen Cruella though, right?
Yeah, I loved it, but
yeah,
it became apparent that's a Disney movie, like even more so toward the end. There's like it just became very not as grounded.
okay, I get it.
Which I enjoyed overall, but just like it reminded me, it's there's magic essentially. Is she remember the flames and
oh yeah, okay.
whole situation?
Yeah,
Just like reminds me, it's this isn't a grounded film, but I enjoyed everything about it for the most part.
Yeah, I do like this idea that Disney's doing with these Disney villains, with Maleficent and Cruella. So I hope they continue with that, and make some more of these Disney villain movies. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we need a Mr. Freeze movie too, in the vein of the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix Joker, the movie. That'd be cool.
That's never gonna happen. But
grounded Mr. Freeze film.
I don't think, unless it's animated, I just don't see that happening. But it'd be cool. Don't get me wrong, because other than the Joker, the Mr. Freeze's whole story is very good. Like his whole background and everything with his wife and all that stuff.
Let's do Two-Face then. Call it Harvey.
I'd be okay with Two-Face not having its own story. Two-Face is not as interesting to me.
District Attorney Two-Face or Harvey Dent.
He's good. I like him in movies and stuff, but I don't think he deserves his own movie. I do think Mr. Freeze deserves his own movie, but I don't think it's going to happen. What are you going to talk about next?
Animated feature film. When it went to Encanto, I never saw it, but it looked interesting. I haven't seen any of the other. I'm not an animated film guy these days. I don't know why. Unless it's, I guess, CGI with live action. I don't know. I haven't been to a movie that's completely animated and directed towards kids in a while. So for years, rather.
So yeah, it's not a movie I wouldn't watch, but this is going to sound kind of weird, but they've been making these Disney Pixar movies to go straight to Disney Plus lately. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's because of the pandemic, but because of that, I'm just not. I think the last Disney Pixar movie I saw in theaters was Inside Out, and that movie, by the way, is a great movie.
I've seen it.
God, it's so good.
When did that come out?
Oh, I would say a few years ago. Probably one of the best Disney Pixar movies I've seen. Besides,
I probably need to watch the trailer.
Yeah, watch the trailer. Then if you can, I mean, it's on Disney Plus. Watch the movie. It's really good.
I wish we could just have another like Hey Arnold type kind of grounded show, but in a movie form. I just feel like whenever it seems like a lot of these animated
Oh,
films these days are just they got to have some type of
magical component.
fantastical
Yeah.
event. Just make it grounded. I mean, what's the worry that
Kids
people
aren't
the
gonna like it.
audience? Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but I guess I mean,
This
like shows like Hey Arnold, captured my attention as a kid. But then again, I think maybe I'm different, and I like stuff that's similar. It's like more real life. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's just me. I could do
Arnold was a
without.
good show. That's a great show. I loved that show as a kid.
I could just do without constant
Yeah,
needing of taking me out of the.
the realm of real life.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Soul. Like when I watch a trailer, it looked great, and then all that. I mean, I guess I got to see the movie for the purpose of all the space stuff
Mhm.
or whatever what was going on. But I liked leading up to it, especially like. But I do enjoy Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse,
That was
through
a
and
good one.
through,
Oh
because
yeah.
all that stuff made sense to me. But even I would have appreciated just like Miles Morales, just doing his thing without any of the other Spider-Verse characters.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just let him have his own story.
I don't know if there's going to be any sequels,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I'd be down.
They created a trailer, like not really a trailer. It was like a promotional clip, and so they are making, and I think it's going to be split into two parts. It's called Across the Spider Verse.
Mm.
So my thinking is because Into the Spider Verse is about introducing the Spider Verse and all that stuff. So I'm thinking he might go across the Spider Verse in this one.
Why
I
don't
don't
they
know.
just have like animated Toby, Tom Holland, and Andrew
That would
Garfield,
be. I would.
voice acting? That'd be great.
Oh yeah, I would love that.
Then again, it'd be kind of weird because already, unless
No,
I
do
thought
it.
that the first guy, that Spider-Man we saw
Mhm.
Into the Spider-Verse, that wasn't trying to be like any live
Oh,
action
no,
portrayal,
no.
was it? It was just its own
Yep.
thing.
All of
Okay,
it
good.
was. Even like
Yeah.
even the Spider-Man and Miles Morales
But
was,
they made like a lot of references, I felt like,
well, yeah,
to
they did because they mentioned the
movies.
dancing thing. He came out and
Hmm.
they're like, we try not to, talk about that one.
Yeah,
So
so it's
that
kind
was,
of,
yeah, that was pretty funny.
yeah,
Okay. And then what do we
kind of
got?
getting down to the end as far as like a lot of
Mhm.
the animated short file. What is a short? We already did that. We already did that.
Film.
Live action short
Film.
film.
We talked about that. Oh, writing. We can talk about. So the looks like the original screenplay was Belfast. We did talk about Belfast. I did watch most of Don't Look Up. I still have yet to finish it, and it's not because I don't want to see it. I just keep forgetting. I'm like, I need to watch this movie because I'm going to be honest with you. I hardly ever use Netflix.
Really?
Yeah, I'm mostly using Hulu, and so I don't think to go to Netflix to see Don't Look Up, but I do need to finish it. And because it was getting really good. It was because you've seen it, right?
Nope.
Okay, well, in
I
the
want to. It's
movie,
on my list.
yeah, in the movie, it's about these scientists who find a comet heading towards Earth, and people are like, at first don't believe them, but then they also do believe them, sort of, but they're using it more as like a publicity thing. And so Jennifer Lawrence's character is being portrayed as like this kind of eccentric woman and stuff,
Yeah.
and so it was getting really good, and like I had to stop for some reason, and I just keep forgetting to go back to it. But I am going to watch Belfast, especially since it won original screenplay because I like to write and I like it's to me it's like doing research,
Hmm.
listening to the dialogue, listening, watching the actions on screen because this is going to sound kind of corny, but in my head when I'm watching movies a lot of times I picture screenplays and I'm like, during action, like when I say action I mean like movement without dialogue. I think it in terms of screenwriting where when you write an action in screenwriting, you're just essentially writing down what's going on. So
Yeah.
I think about that. So for me, it's just like research when I watch these movies that are nominated or win best screenplay.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
then
And I'm thinking about the music and
yeah,
a lot of the time, just how
I
it's used.
I listen. So one thing that also I listen to a lot is sound. So like not even just like music, but like the sound effects. So one thing I always notice is when people are walking on gravel, I can always hear the gravel. To me, it just sounds really cool. And like I think being a Foley artist, which people who don't know what a Foley artist is essentially people who go into a studio and make sound effects for movies. And I did that for a project once, and it was really fun. And I think being a Foley artist would probably be one of the coolest jobs in the world. And so like listening to the sound effects and the dialogue and the music, like all that just is kind of what I do when I watch movies. It looks like the adapted screenplay was Coda, which is Children of Deaf Adults. I haven't seen that yet either. Have you? I know we've talked about this, but
yeah, I haven't seen Coda yet.
and I've heard Drive My Car wasn't a bad movie either, and that's a foreign film
I
from
like foreign
Japan, I
films
believe.
usually, but just how do you get access to these movies?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like
Unless
when I
they like
watch,
select theaters, sometimes they'll have
well, yeah,
foreign films. I mean, Belfast, I mean, it's takes place in Ireland, so kind of
well,
foreign.
a lot of these movies now, if you want to watch them, if they're digital at all, you can rent most of them. So like
Yeah,
Amazon and Vudu and stuff like that. You can definitely rent them now. Of course, we know some of them are straight like made for certain streaming platforms. So like,
Netflix, yeah,
yeah,
Power
like
of the
don't
Dog,
Power of the Dog, Don't Look Up, and all that stuff. And isn't Coda on Hulu?
Apple TV.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It's on Apple TV. Okay. Okay. Visual effects. We did talk about visual effects, right? Dune 1.
Yeah, it's like okay, I'm a little not surprised really, but
No,
just
but I think they did a good job on the nominees. So Free Guy, and that's another movie that I still have not seen, but I really want to
I'm
watch.
surprised you haven't seen it. You'd love it.
I know I'd love it. That's the thing, and I just can't sit down to watch it because I'm just doing so much. And not only that, but I
You
also
need to be able to find a time where you're not distracted by anything when you have
yeah.
actually time to watch it and like just take it all in.
Well, and originally I was like, I want to wait and watch this with my friends, because it's a really cool looking movie. And then I get to Arkansas and we were just like doing other things. But Free Guy is a movie that I really need to see. No Time to Die, of course, we've both seen that, which is a really cool movie. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Have you seen that yet?
No.
Okay, here's the thing about Shang-Chi, and I might have mentioned this to you. I don't care for the story. The story overall is cool, but the way they get to the story in the movie, I didn't care for. It just seemed like, sometimes like we talked about Power Rangers and how my mom only liked the last 30 minutes because that was where all the action was. But the first part was getting to know them. Like sometimes movies can be too slow getting to that point where, you know, the action is and all that stuff. I thought Shang-Chi was too fast. Like they introduced Shang-Chi, they introduced his friend who's played by Aquafina, and then it's like all of a sudden they were in another country learning about the Ten Rings. I'm just like, whoa, like I don't know, just the way the writing in that movie, I didn't care for because they introduced them as valets. They're both valets, and she loves to drive and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, this is going to come up somewhere else and that kind of thing. And I'm just like, it didn't care for it. But
That's the beauty of TV shows
yeah,
or streaming series as well.
yeah,
Have a
you
lot more
can
time to flesh
flesh
characters
out these
out.
stories.
Yep.
For sure. But the CGI and the visual effects in that movie are spectacular. Like the way they handle the Ten Rings and just the different creatures that live in this land
Yeah.
that Shang-Chi's father is from or they're wanting to take. I can't remember exactly. But the creatures and all look good. And so it's a really good looking movie. Visual effects are great. Just I didn't care for the way they get you into the story. And then of course we have Spider-Man No Way Home, which of course we've both seen. I've seen it twice. How many times have you seen it?
Just once.
Okay. I saw it twice in theaters because I took my students to see it, and then I went with a friend and his son, and then our other friend. So we all went and saw it, and so I've seen it twice, and I really, really like that movie. So and of course we talked about it. It comes out April 12th. Okay, I guess the last thing to talk about then is Best Picture, huh? The nominees were Coda, which Children of Deaf Adults, Belfast, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10. And I think Jake told us, I think that's the most they can nominate for Best Picture. Isn't that like the max?
Okay.
I think if don't correct me on that if I'm wrong, anybody who's listening, but Coda won Children of Deaf Adults, and my students were actually talking about this movie, and I don't remember if they said it was good or not, but they a lot of them said they wanted to see it, and so it helps my decision. And I mean, I'll try to watch all these movies if I can, but Don't Look Up, or not Don't Look Up, Drive My Car is in there, and I don't know if you, I think it was last year with Parasite won, which was
Yeah.
the first foreign film to win an Oscar. So it would have been kind of cool to see another foreign film take the gold. But oh well.
Yeah, I haven't seen Coda, so I can't say whether I approve or disapprove of that. But
I approve
out
of it.
out of out of all these movies, again, I've seen Belfast. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know what the Academy looks for in deciding what makes a best picture.
I watched the year that the whole I don't know if you saw the three billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, when it was nominated. And I think it had either won or was nominated. And I watched that, and I was like, I remember it being a good movie, but I was like, so this is what an Oscar nominated movie is, and like that. And I watched Lady Bird, and I watched Call Me by Your Name, and Call Me by Your Name and Lady Bird were really good movies. But then there's that three billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and I was like I don't understand. It's not super clear as to what like you
What's
said.
the metric? Is it should it be all of it? I mean, is it are they taking a look at everything from cinematography to acting to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
host of technical event like feats? I mean, or are they just I don't know. I mean,
Or it's
hopefully
a
there's
political.
no
I think
yeah,
it's a
hopefully
little
there's
bit
no
of.
political
I'm sure it's a little bit of
aspects.
both. I'm sure
But
it's a little bit of both. There is a way they do it. I've never really been interested enough to find out what it is. I'm just like, okay, I just like to know. It's not something huge, not a big deal who wins or who doesn't. I mean, I think Coda was. I haven't seen it, but I've read the summary of it and what it's about, and it looks like a really interesting movie. And so the only ones I've seen were mostly Don't Look Up, and then Licorice Pizza and Nightmare Alley. I didn't think Licorice Pizza or Nightmare Alley were going to win,
mhm.
to be honest with you. But I did have hopes for Don't Look Up. I mean, and Dune, of course. I just, for some reason, even though I really wasn't interested in watching, I just was like, Dune's probably going to take.
Imagine if Don't Look Up one, it'd be people would say, "Oh, it's this political movie," and
Yeah,
it won, and we're not surprised.
weird. I know. I don't. I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, I'm not nothing really like whatever.
Yeah, that's all kind of I do wish I was a little more into the Oscars, and I don't know. I remember when we worked together at Channel 7, the Seven on Your Side reporter, and I'm not gonna say his name on here, but he would have like an Oscars prediction bracket thing, and I think he even held a party, and he invited me one year, but I think that was like right after I had started, and I didn't really know everybody that well, and I'm not one of those people where it's like reporters, they're like you invite them to a party and they'll most likely go. Not saying that they party a lot, but they're more outgoing than I am, who is a producer. It's like
Yeah,
I'm not into that.
I
But
never went.
I'm just not super into out unless I get to know you, because we had our little friend group there,
Yeah,
and it was easy for y'all to be like, hey, you want to go eat? I'm like, heck yeah, I want to go eat. Let's do it. But then, so I'm just like with that Oscars party, I was like, oh, I didn't tell him that. Of course, I wasn't like, no, man, I'm not going.
I
I was like, oh yeah, thanks, man. I'll try to make it.
think be interesting
Knowing,
one day to do something like that. But then again, you and I were kind of more selective, like to get to know people a little
yeah,
bit more. But I guess that's how you the opportunity to get to know people as well.
yeah, I guess I wish I was a little more outgoing, so I didn't, because living here in Memphis, I have four friends that I either knew in a previous life, if you will,
Hmm.
or my roommates, who live here. I know them, and of course I know people that I work with, but we don't go out, and so
Yeah,
it's because, and I know it's because I just not a big, I'm not outgoing like some reporters and stuff can be, and because they have to be. Anyway, I don't know why we
yeah.
started. I mean, I know why we started talking about this, but I didn't mean to go this deep into it. Okay, cool. So, I mean,
Any
uh,
last thoughts about the Oscars? What's the big takeaway? I mean, obviously the King Richard. I'm sure it's a fantastic movie. I wanted to see it, but then again, everything seems to be
I did not, I did
just
not peg it as an Oscar.
yeah.
Oscar
Something
worthy
about that.
thing. But I'm also not in the academy, and I'm not a director. I mean, I have directed stuff, but I'm not a professional director or professional writer and all this stuff. So the Oscars, when I see movies come out, aren't on my mind. I'm not like, oh, that's Oscar bait, just like, oh, here's this new movie. So King Richard and some of these other movies, I'm like, okay. Like Being the Ricardos, I wasn't expecting that to go to the Oscars at all. Other than that, yeah, I mean, other than the slap, it seemed like the Oscars were pretty successful, like they are every year. Things
I wonder how the viewership was for the Oscars this year compared to
last,
previous.
yeah.
Like just who really watches television, live television these days? I mean, compared to previous years, like within the past decade, I just feel like people
Well,
don't dedicate time to sit down
they don't
and
have
pay
to.
attention. They don't have, they don't have to.
I don't know. There are benefits to live TV, and really the only things that I see on live TV are when I watch at the Oscars or like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, sometimes it's if it's an event for someone and they take it kind of seriously, then they'll tune in for the live,
Yeah.
if they're passionate about whatever the
Hmm.
show is.
Well, you and I grew up on live TV, so
Yeah, kind of
um,
forced to
yeah.
like watching. I mean, I grew up watching live local news, but I think many people
Well, you're
don't.
the only
They
one.
just they just have it on as white noise.
Yeah, you're the
And
only one that
I'm
can
the guy that
actually.
has news on in my apartment just as I'm interested, but
Yeah.
also just to have background like CNN or Fox News. I go with all the networks. Doesn't matter what political leanings they have. I'm
That's a good thing.
fair
That's a
and
good thing.
balanced
Good for you.
perspectives.
Good for you, because that is a good thing. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, there's really not much I have left to say. I am excited. I really, and I've said this a few times, I really want to try to go see as many movies in theaters as I can. Of course, with the pandemic, it's been kind of, I don't want to say messed up because, it's not anybody's fault, of course, but it's just, everything's been kind of changed with when it comes to going to theaters and all that stuff. Like, yeah, things still appear in theaters, but then you also get it on streaming services, and it's like, well, do I need
Yeah.
to go? But
Yeah, I mean, I just for me, I think we've talked about this before. I just value the
I
experience
agree. I do too.
of going to the theater and just maybe one day I could afford a fantastic, expensive setup and have my own theater, but I'm never going to be able to replicate in the near future
I don't know. I agree.
the sound system and picture of what they have at the
Yeah.
theater. But
Yeah.
again, there's some movies that I really don't care. Like I want to see on the big screen. I'll just watch it on my little TV. I have
Yeah.
no problem. But there's some movies that I got to experience on the big screen. Remember when I lived in Arizona, they had this special screening. I forgot what anniversary it was of Saving Private Ryan, but it was fantastic just to watch a movie that came out in the late 90s. And I like to go back in time to
See him in the late 90s.
watching that movie, and what the experience was like, because Saving Private Ryan for a lot of veterans was one of the closest things resembled what happened in June of 1944 in D-Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just able to experience that in theaters so many years later. I don't know if there are any veterans in my auditorium, but it was just excellent. I like the vibe of a theater audience. Some people are annoying, but
Oh
others
yeah.
depends on the movie. I mean, Saving Private Ryan, there's no need to hoot and holler for sure. But
The hoot and holler.
yeah, but I mean, like the Marvel movies, a lot of
Yeah,
people
for sure.
cheering and all that. I'm so kind of
Yeah.
surprised at some points when at certain scenes of movies, audiences decide to react a certain way. It's interesting. I don't think I would have reacted that way. I like the in the Batman when his thumb drive pulls up, it's a thumb drive. I think that was kind of a cringe moment in the movie, just the
Yeah.
way it's delivered. I don't think it was maybe meant for for the audience to chuckle, but then again, maybe it was. But
You
I can
know,
the way that he did it, I think it was trying to be kind of a cheeky.
yeah.
I don't know.
A little bit of a humorous moment.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe
Yeah.
Batman wasn't trying to, but I think maybe the director was kind of a moment of like
Relief.
laughter and relief
Mhm.
for sure.
All right, so that concludes our conversation on the post Oscars conversation, if you will. It's too bad we couldn't have Jake here, but hopefully next time he'll be able to. Our schedule with my school's doing a play, and so it's been kind of messed up. It's kind of hard for Jake to join us sometimes. So hopefully next time he'll be able to jump in on this with us. Am I right?
Yep.
So
Always love Jake's contrarian
differing
views.
opinions that he claims to have.
He's the most different as far as opinions on films, I think, compared to like both of us. I think we're a little bit more similar
I
compared to
would agree.
his views, but I like
But that's
having
okay.
his
Yeah,
perspectives.
it gives us a different perspective on
We
the
need
matter.
that diversity.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to another awesome episode of the Fantastic Mr. Podcast, which really quick, by the way, I don't know if you saw on our Facebook, one of the comments my friends made was who's Mr. Podcast? Like which
Saw
one?
that.
She said, which one of you are Mr. Podcast? And I'm like, okay, like I get it. You're being funny, but none of us, we are all Mr. Podcast.
We're all Negan.
We're all Groot.
Yeah.
We are Groot. We are Mr. Podcast.
Yes.
So
I think it's good because you never know the evolution of the podcast. People might come and go type of thing, but hopefully the main core stays together for
Forever.
a while, forever. But I think eventually it'd be interesting to get perspectives and have some guests on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Sorry, we keep going off on tangents when we're trying to end the episode. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. Please hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or what's the other one? Twitter, the Fantastic Mr. Podcast. And we also have comment sections on YouTube that you can check us out and listen to our podcast as well. So, and of course, our podcast, you can hear them for sure on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So please check us out. Comment on our channels if you want about any upcoming conversations you'd like us to have, or just any comments in general. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, people around the world are listening.
Yeah,
and it's apparent through the metrics that you've researched, and we're grateful. And I'm curious how you guys are discovering our podcast. So if you could perhaps tell us, that'd be cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.